On September 16, 2008, Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Olmert and Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas sat in a private Jerusalem residence to negotiate a final peace. Olmert presented an offer that contained the most sweeping territorial concessions in the history of the struggle. This proposal involved Israel annexing 6.3% of the West Bank, a move designed to encompass the major Jewish settlement blocks of Ariel, Ma'ale Adomim, and Gush Etzion. To maintain territorial equivalence, Olmert offered a 5.8% land swap from within pre-1967 Israel. This included agricultural land in the Lachish region and territory near the Gaza Strip, effectively providing the Palestinians with a state nearly equal in size. The offer also addressed the core of the conflict, Jerusalem. Olmert proposed a demographic division of the city and suggested placing the Holy Basin, including the Old City, under the joint trusteeship of 5 nations, including Saudi Arabia and Jordan. But there was a ticking clock. Olmert was a lame duck leader facing multiple corruption investigations. He believed this was the final window for a two-state solution and demanded that Abbas sign the map immediately. Abbas refused to sign without consulting his technical teams, but Olmert would not let the map leave the room. He feared it would be used as a baseline for future demands without a final commitment. In response, Abbas took a pen and carefully sketched the proposed borders from memory on a paper napkin. Abbas took his sketch and walked out the door. He never returned to the table, leaving behind a refusal that follows a specific internal political logic, one where inaction is often viewed as the only safe path. Intelligence profiles from the Shin Bet and Amman characterize Abbas as a cautious administrator. His priority is the preservation of the Palestinian Authority as a stable entity, rather than the high-stakes gamble required for a final status deal. From Abbas's perspective, Olmert was a politically spent force. Signing a deal with a prime minister on the verge of resignation meant making permanent concessions to a leader who might not be in power to implement them. This calculation is known as the Gamal theory, a strategy of waiting for better conditions or international intervention. Abbas believed time was an ally. A future U.S. administration or international pressure would force Israel to concede more without requiring Palestinian compromise. His leadership was defined by a rhetoric gap. He maintained quiet security cooperation with the Israeli military to keep the West Bank stable, while publicly projecting an image of absolute resistance to his own people. Formalizing Olmert's map meant abandoning the right of return for millions of refugees. In the volatile environment of Palestinian politics, signing away that inherited right would have likely led to Abbas being branded a traitor by rivals like Hamas. In this political calculus, the abstract risk of the peace process collapsing was preferable to the immediate existential threat of signing a final compromise. This political deadlock is rooted in the competing societal traumas that define both nations. Both Israelis and Palestinians are bound by historical narratives that turn territorial compromise into a perceived threat to national survival. Israeli national identity is anchored in the memory of HaShoah, the Holocaust. This trauma creates an uncompromising mandate for a sovereign Jewish state, viewing military strength and territorial control as the only shields against a second catastrophe. For Palestinians, the foundational trauma is the Nakba, or the catastrophe of 1948. It is a narrative of mass dispossession and exile, fueling the national aspiration for a right of return, viewing Israel's creation as an ongoing injustice. This psychological divide is visible in the physical landscape. From the balcony of the Yad Vashem Holocaust Museum, visitors look out over the hills of Jerusalem, but that same view looks directly at the former site of Deir Yassin, a village associated with one of the most egregious acts of violence against Palestinians during the Nakba. On the Palestinian side, the new Palestinian Museum in Ramallah is designed to look out toward the Mediterranean Sea, territory most West Bank residents can no longer access. In its descriptions, the museum pointedly omits the word Israel, referring instead to 1948 areas. Drawing physical borders on a map requires a shared acknowledgement of the other side's presence. But in this conflict, the construction of national identity often depends on the silencing of the other side's version of history. The Gamal theory backfired. Abbas's strategy of waiting for better conditions collapsed when the geopolitical environment shifted away from negotiation. Within months of the failed meeting, the diplomatic window closed. In December 2008, the Gaza War broke out, freezing relations and hardening public opinion on both sides, making the compromises of the previous September politically impossible. The political climate in Israel followed suit. Olmert resigned under investigation, and by early 2009, Benjamin Netanyahu had returned to power on a platform that rejected his predecessor's concessions and demanded that negotiations start from scratch. Watch the map. As the 2008 window shut, the parameters of Olmert's offer were effectively wiped away. In the decade that followed, the baseline for any future Palestinian state drastically shrunk as settlement expansion continued, and the map Olmert proposed became a historical curiosity. The napkin map remains a tragic artifact of a specific calculation. It serves as a reminder that the strategy of waiting for a better deal, the Gamal theory, transformed an unprecedented offer into a historical footnote that has never been revisited.